Crowley falling there. So our next match is going to be between Gravity's Demo and Miraculous Gaming's Noob.
Demo, we've seen some pretty cool play out of so far this season. He is a Terran versus Protoss, so this is a matchup we haven't seen as regularly. I'm sure Troy is very, very happy. Pretend saying StarCraft 2 is just PvP, but actually we haven't seen that many PvPs this season. It's actually pretty interesting, the lack of PvPs. What we've seen is so many ZVZs.
We have seen a lot of ZVZs. I'm going to disagree with you on the PvP. I think we've seen a decent amount of PvP. Not as much as ZVZ for sure, but we've definitely seen PvP.
Yeah, we've seen we've seen a few for sure, but certainly not at the. It seemed like last season every other match was a PvP.
That's true.
Season 1 SC2CTL was the ZVZ of Season 2. But
yeah.
so we're going to be going into Galaxy Blood Mist, and if you're not familiar with Galaxy, they are a map-making team who we have adopted some of their maps for this season, and they are eye candy maps. They are awesome. But let's jump on into this game, and we will begin to talk about it, as that is our jobs here. So jumping into Galaxy Blood Mist, in the lower right-hand corner, it is going to be Noob.
And in the top left-hand corner, representing Team Gravity and Terrans everywhere, it is Demo.
I'm really, really excited for this game. Demo, one of my favorite Terrans in the league. And that's hard for me to say because I generally have a distaste for Terran overall, but it is fun to see some of the Terran plays these days coming out. But it looks like going to be fairly standard play from both. No gas is, I don't know, I was going to say no gas is my prediction, but out of Demo, he kind of switches it up either way, going for that Reaper or the Marine. So it depends on what he knows about his opponent. But the thing we haven't seen this season is much of Team Gravity, so it is nice to finally get to cast them. Actually, they've kind of been doing so well so far that their games have been pretty blowouty, so we haven't really been able to cover them as much as we would like to.
Yeah, and I think that part of the reason for that is players like Demo that are on their team. They've just got a lot of great talent and are able to do a lot with it. So definitely one of the favorite teams coming through here in the bracket that we had. As you mentioned, they are the Season 1 champions for the North American division, and they are bringing that momentum in with them in Season 2, but the charge is not through yet. They've still got to climb through a few teams to make it through to the finals, and it's do or die time. If they lose this best of 7, then they are out. But hey, they are up 1-0 right now, so they are doing okay.
Yeah, and gas has been completed here a little bit for Demo and not producing anything immediately out of the barracks, but that Reaper does end up coming down. This is probably, as I've mentioned over and over again, one of the most annoying plays and things I hate the most, because I just hate the Reaper overall. They're so obnoxious. They're little flies, little gnats. Ever since the patch, they're not like, I wouldn't consider them mosquitoes, because mosquitoes, you can, it hurts a little bit, but gnats, it's like walking through a cloud of gnats.
Yeah.
And when you walk through a cloud of 40 gnats, it kind of is uncomfortable.
What's really uncomfortable is walking through a cloud of gnats with ice cream in your hand.
Why is that?
Because the gnats stick to the ice cream. They don't get out of the way. So now you just got gnat ice cream. That actually happened to me this weekend, and I was like, oh, great.
Awesome.
Well, protein ice cream, I guess.
Well, it looks like
That's right, I ate it anyway.
Looks like Noob has the intention down here of expanding, but there's a SCV that is being quite pesky, and now the Reaper coming down to take over his job of being pesky, and the SCV is going to go back home, and the Mothership Core conveniently does pop out just at the right time to shoo that away, but he does come in and see that the Cybernetics Core is done and check all his timings there. I don't think he was able to get in quite far enough to see everything, so he did. I think we'll see with that SCV. But a command center going down at the natural expansion for Demo. He's just going to take this lightly. He is producing 2 Marines out of that barracks now that has a reactor on it. Only 1 Reaper just to do the scouting. And this is, I don't know, it's pretty cool of Terran. I like what they did. And now that Reaper can just be scouting all around it. And honestly, it's so smart. Honestly, this is the best move he could do right now, is to scout around like this, because we've seen so many proxy things out of actually both Terran and Protoss this season with the Proxy Factory or the Stargate, and he's really covering all his bases. If you look where Demo is scouted. He's covered just about every possible proxy location.
But he does. It looks like Noob does have a probe in the lower left-hand corner of the map. Not sure what he was planning on doing with it, as the Stargate is already in production in the main base. So it's just kind of hanging out there, getting ready to do whatever he ends up doing with it later. But he's in a holding pattern for now.
Ooh, that Reaper does actually get taken out. Gets trapped there between a Stalker and a hard place, and that hard place is a mothership core. But looks like looks like Noob is doing something pretty cool here. He's just going for the couple Stalkers and the mothership. Oh, he's not going to send the mothership core. Okay, that's fine. I thought he was going to kind of move across and pressure a little bit with Stalkers and the mothership core, but he's keeping it at home for a little bit of the defense-y type stuff. But there is a SCV coming down here that's going to get intercepted by these Stalkers.
Noob is actually doing a lot of interesting things. He's got that Stargate, but he hasn't made anything out of it.
And a Robo.
Now, yeah, he's getting the Robo now. So it looks like he saw something that he didn't like before. I mean, there are a lot of Marines out, and he did get scouted, I think, too, on that.
I'm kind of wondering if it's maybe a little bit of indecision here, because he did start his ground armor upgrade pretty quick here. And that's actually really fast for an upgrade so far, and going right for Colossus. Do not pass go, do not collect $200, but in fact spend that $200 along with some gas for a robotics bay.
Yeah, and he's only seen the one barracks. I mean, theoretically, he could judge based on what has been coming into his base, what's going on, but he really doesn't have a whole lot of information about the infrastructure in Demo's base here. So making a lot of assumptions, but making tech trees based on those.
Well, Demo did see that Stargate, so he's taking the appropriate precautions. He does have turrets down in both of his bases just in case those air units do come out, the Oracle or the Phoenix. But actually, this is kind of obnoxious. If I was the SCVs, I'd be very grumpy having to walk around these turrets all day. But he's going to be heading out with these Marines, and man, Noob has invested so much in tech right now. He's just not going to have a ton of units. He's chrono boosting out a Colossus right now. Range is not even started, and there's a contingency of Marines and Marauders moving across the map.
And Noob's Observer is going to catch it, but it's going to be real close to his base once he sees it. So now he's in panic mode. He's got to figure out how he wants to deal with this. This is a huge force for Demo.
Wow, it is.
And
he's
reactionary photon
very
overcharge.
Reactionary photon overcharge.
Before it even got in there, the first Marine does go down, and he decides to stem in anyway, seeing what type of army is there. The force fields do go down, splitting the army somewhat, but there's a little bit of a gap, and they're able to walk through. But the Hero Colossus coming up, doing tons of damage here and forcing that infantry army away.
Well, that time warp was absolutely amazing, because not only did those units have to walk through it, but the force fields in the time warp slowed them down enough for that Colossus to come out, and then they had to run away back through it, so the Colossus got a few extra shots. So that was actually a pretty clutch defense by Noob. I wasn't so sure about that, because he just spent so much on tech right away. I mean, looking at the spending tree right here, actually technology spending is fairly even for both players. Both players actually very even on all accounts, actually. But now he is using that Stargate. Phoenix coming out. Interested to see what he's going to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, he noticed that there weren't any medevacs, I think, but obviously when you're going a heavy infantry army, you've got to have those medevacs, and they are in production too, are popping out right now. There is a starport that does have a reactor on it, though sitting idle after 2, it appears.
Yeah, this is an interesting composition. I don't often see Phoenix made in conjunction with Colossus. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to head off the eventual Viking production, but still Phoenix don't do all that well against Vikings. And he is warping in 2 Zealots, going to load them into that Warp Prism, it looks like, to maybe go do a bit of harassment, but he's going to have to deal with this army coming in as there are 2 medevacs, and not sure if he's going to see that Warp Prism heading out, but this is going to be a bit of a scary push here from Noob, stimming half of his army, moving on up, taking out a pylon. The forces of Noob are not quite in position, so taking quite a bit of damage. Demo being very cautious with his push in, though, not overcommitting it. No, the Mothership Core does go down before he gets anything casted off of it.
Yeah, and that's definitely not ideal. That's going to hurt his defense here, but those Colossus are right up in there. The Phoenix taking out one of the medevacs, and he's once again forcing Demo back out of his base. In the meantime, that Warp Prism is now hitting the main base for Demo, dropping those Zealots, killing the SCVs that are working on those barracks, and now more warping in. But the army for Demo is showing up right now, stimming forward, and going to try and get that Warp Prism. Every single one of those zealots gets loaded up in there, it looks like.
It is pretty obnoxious, too. It does delay the creation of those extra barracks by about 10, 15, even up to 30 seconds, depending on what the reaction is there. So that will delay a little bit of production, but now Demo is undeterred. He's moving out with these Colossus, taking some free swipes at the army there. Warp Prism transforming into warp mode, as it looks like Noob has got this pretty well taken care of here.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how Demo's going to hold this off at the moment. There's really not a whole lot of units here. Pulling the SCVs now to repair on that bunker, and that just, I mean, wow. Those Colossus could get a lot of kills. It's going to be painful, though.
The Vikings are getting some shots away at those at the mothership core, actually not doing any damage to the Stalker or the Colossus, which is a little bit of a mistake, but the SCVs are pulled, taking some damage off here, but it looks like Demo is going to push this away for now.
Yep, and taking a lot of SCV kills in the process. Actually, not as many as it would have appeared, though. He only lost 10 total, though.
Wow, so now this is actually not looking so good for Noob now, as the army supply is quite in favor of Demo. Losing that army was quite expensive. Looking at the units lost, it actually is a little bit higher for Noob, about 500, but not too crazy. But now Demo is going to push right off of us, knowing that it's going to take some time to get that Colossus number back up. Vikings getting free shots at that Colossus and Phoenix.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to take at least one of those, if not both, out before too long. The medevac's getting way out of position there, just kind of being put together with the army, but the Viking count is dropping very heavily now. And it looks as though there's only the Marauders, a Viking, and a medevac, 2 medevacs, and new pushback. So very thin defenses here that we're seeing from both players.
Zealots back in the main base of Noob. One was taken out, and one is working its way at those Marauders, but that is, in most cases, not going to be all that effective. But that Warp Prism is still alive, but the Vikings are chasing it down, so will not last long. Runs into a turret. Honestly, I think that Noob overextended himself a bit there. I hate to use that word, but it's a little bit of a hasty push. I think he wasn't quite ready.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it looks like Demo is wanting to try and punish that, and is really just kind of all over the place, forced to try and deal with these the Warp Prism harassments, but it looks like he's got a lot of that covered now, and army is like scrambling like ants after you kick an anthill.
Yeah, it is. The upgrades are now even, one on both sides. Noob did get that forge really early. He does have +2 armor coming down. No further upgrades from Demo, as he is still waiting for his armory to finish. Once that is done, I expect to see some upgrades out of him, but there is going to be a single Marine that is going to get a single probe kill down at the third base of Noob as well. But Demo is getting ready to move out, and Noob has an observer over top of that, so he sees it and knows exactly what's coming. Looks like he's trying to get a bit of a spread here before it comes in, but those Vikings, has quite a number of Vikings there that can do, looks like 2 to 3 shots on those Colossus to get them down, but Guardian Shield does go down. Not a great engagement location for Demo, as those Colossus are getting quite the shots at the bottom of that ramp on that Bio Army.
Yeah, Demo's forced to pull back once again, as that positioning was not ideal for him, and the Colossus are giving chase. So,
but there is a clutch infantry, a bit of Demo down at the third base, getting a few probe kills and pushing away the rest, and looks like he is going to get the kill on this Nexus, and Noob just doesn't care. He's moving right in. Do you think this is a little bit too hasty again, Gallegation?
Maybe. The SCVs have been pulled, and they're going to be moving into the front line, trying to tank those Colossus shots as the infantry does the damage. Moving through, looks like 2 Colossus have fallen, and this army for Noob is now once again being pushed back heavily. I mean, this is a slugfest if there ever was one here.
Yeah, it really appears like the same situation. I feel like Noob, every time Noob is pushing away Demo at his base, he's just getting the gumption to go for it. Oh, wow, big medevac kill there in the base of Noob out front. Just getting, all right, I pushed him away, let's go for it. But he just doesn't have the sentries, I think, to keep those SCVs back along with those Colossus. That would be, in my opinion, of the main problem here. That and the great number of Vikings that Demo has. He has been continually producing them, now starting to re-up his number of medevacs here as well.
But Noob is not down for the count just yet. He did put down a proxy pylon and is warped in 3 Zealots that are now attacking the northern base. Demo is rallying his forces to go in and deal with that. Looks like not a whole lot got done, though. Maybe 1 or 2 SCV kills there.
Yeah, not a whole lot. There is a single SCV that has scouted out this pylon in the middle of the map. Looks like Demo pulled back the majority of his forces to deal with those 3 Zealots. A ping goes down in the main base. And, oh, someone noticing that he did stop and start a armor upgrade once, and then start the attack upgrade. So, Noob having a bit of misconception on which upgrade he wants to get, but he is going for a 4th base, so the macro is continued while Demo is sitting on 3 bases right now. Looking at the income, Demo mining way more minerals than Noob right now. Those, as there's more zealots in the 3rd base, those mules is what they're called. Wow, mind blank there, but so this is going to be continually annoying here for Demo, but looks like he is only pulling 2 Marauders and a Marine back this time instead of his entire army. And Demo still does have a Marine down here at the 3rd base, as the probe is going to come down here and trying to expand once again.
Yeah, and it looks like Noob is just having a really hard time getting his production going whatsoever. He's just now kind of getting that 3rd base mining there, but it's going to be right in the attack path of Demo here, and if he can deny that base, that's going to be really bad news here for Noob, as he is very close to mining out in both his main and his natural.
Oh, Stalkers do blink in to take some shots at those Vikings to push them away, but the rest of the army is there. This is a bit of an awkward spot for Demo, as now he's getting trapped there with force fields, but there are such a huge number of Vikings. Look, a total of 9 Vikings right now, just taking out those Colossus so quickly. But Demo looks like he's able to get in the damage he wants with really good micro and positioning, drawing the Zealots out of that high ground position of Noob.
And Demo's army, while taking some shots there, is not down for the count, not forced to retreat just yet. These Stalkers have got a big job ahead of them in this heavy Marauder army that is running up on them, and Noob is getting dangerously close to, there it is, GG.
GG. Well, Galgation, what are your thoughts on that game? It looked like quite the slugfest, as you said.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was just kind of one, like, real just cross jab after another, you know, or just, it almost felt like, you know, when you first played Mortal Kombat for the first time and you're trying to figure out the controls and you just sit there for like 3 matches and you just uppercut each other, like back and forth.
That was pretty much the go-to move in that game.
Yeah, that's what it felt like in that game. You're just like, ah, ah, you know, and they're just getting knocked back one after the other.
So out of
really
Noob, out of Noob, I feel like that, like I mentioned a couple times, that those pushes were a little bit hasty, a little bit overextension of his army there. But also, I feel like Demo could have got a lot of damage done by doing a little bit of drops, and usually we see that out of Demo, I feel like. And we didn't really see him pick up and drop once, I don't think.
He did try the one in the main base that got picked off as it was retreating, I believe, by that retreating army. At any rate, definitely not a lot of harassment overall. You are correct.
Indeed.
Mostly just kind of pushing through the gut.
But that is going to wrap up game number 2, and we're going to come right out to a score of 2-0 for Team Gravity. So, Gravity living up to their reputation. Looks like they want to win this, as they are the champions of SC2CTL Season 1. Moving into Season 2 in the round of 8 playoffs, they have been quite dominant through the entire SC2CTL so far, coming out with a 2-0 lead. Will Miraculous Gaming be able to come back? We will find out in a moment, but quickly, we want to do a couple informational things here. One of them is to get you all set up to win some cool prizes. We have been giving away codes for prizes all throughout the later half of this season, and today is certainly no different. We've given away a Corsair gaming headset and a Corsair gaming mouse courtesy of Mythologic. They, in conjunction with Corsair, helped hook us up with those. And we do have a Corsair gaming mechanical keyboard that we will be giving away during the live final show on June 28th. We'll be continuing to give out codes today and on the show on Thursday, and then on the final show on that Saturday the 28th. All the codes entered so far are still in the running, and we're going to give you another one right now. So if you look at chat, all the information is there. If you go to sc2ctl.com/giveaway, you will see some things that you can like and follow. How this works is we will give you a code. You put in that code your email address, and you will get 1 entry for that. But before you put in that code, anything you like or follow on that page will get you an additional entry. And once you like or follow them, you will get that entry every time you enter a code. So if you like Wingnet SC or Galligation or Mythologic, you will get an extra code, or an extra entry for each of those. So the code, first code of today is Sports Ball, in honor of the FIFA thing that's going on.
Yeah, we are not the only playoffs and finals that are going to be going on during the month of June. If you guys are living under a rock and don't know, the World Cup is happening right now in Brazil, and lots of fun watching that. I actually caught a few games myself earlier today. Lots of fun to watch. So you might even, I actually don't know, I don't think the matches are still going on today. I think they're done for, but
No one cares about sports ball.
Well, I was going to say you could have StarCraft on one side and sports ball on the other side,
Yeah.
and keep up on both sides of the cone, or coin rather.
So these the prizes are given by Corsair in conjunction with Mythologic, so give them some love too. Every follow you get you an extra entry, so enter the code SPORTSBALL along with your email address and enter to win. We'll be giving that away live on stream on Saturday, June 28th during our live final show. So big thank you to Mythologic and Corsair for that. Find them on Twitter at Mythologic and at Corsair, I believe it is, and let them know that you appreciate it. So with that, we are at a score of